So behind me in the distance is the Griffin, one of 4 pubs on each corner of what was Griffin Park, which is behind these houses. It was the home of Brentford Football Club from 1904 to 2020. Now, the reason it was called Griffin Park is because obviously the brewery that owned what was the Orchard, which became Griffin Park, the football pitch, the football stadium. If you look at the Fuller's Brewery logo, there's a griffin on the logo, hence why it was called Griffin Park. Now, I've got to be careful because there's literally nowhere to park around here. It's all permit holders only. This is the first of 4 pubs. I think what we're going to do, we're off to a Brentford Stadium tour, by the way, after this. Before we go there, though, I'm just going to do a complete wander around what was Griffin Park. I mean, it was only 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that, that Brentford moved away from here. So I'm hoping it's fairly untouched. It could be a little bit sad. We did the Upton Park bowling ground tour last week. That was rather sad. But let's go and check out the former home of Brentford Football Club. Let's go. I mean, we spoke about it during the bowling ground tour at Upton Park, how when a club moves away from the heart of the community, such as this, the businesses around the former stadium suffer. So obviously, this being one of 4 pubs, I think 4 pubs still exist, we'll soon find out. You can see over there behind me, we've got the Brentford FC. This is Bramer Road, I think I say it, Bramer Road. Obviously this pub behind me would have been stacked full of supporters on match day. Now, I'm sure the locals still use this, as you know, for nostalgic reasons and the fact they've been going there for years. But it obviously wouldn't be making the money on match days it once did. If we look all the way up the road, you've got the old school terraced housing. I've just come from a Fulham tour, by the way, so check that one out. And the terraced housing in and around Craven Cottage is very different from this terraced housing, but I can imagine these houses still aren't cheap. So I'm going to hop back in a car and I'm going to stop off at each one of those corners. Again, remember, this was the one and only English football ground that had a pub on all 4 corners. Let's go and check out the second pub. So behind me here are the evil people who are destroying a once iconic, a once famous, it is famous for the 4 pubs, football ground. Behind me right now, is the site in which they're destroying the pitch. I'm guessing, ooh, let's go and have a little look. So as we look behind, I don't know how much you can see on the camera, this would have been absolutely thriving. Again, from 1904 to 2020, this was the home of a now Premier League football club. Everything's been demolished, everything I can see. Every stand, the pitch is gone. Now, like Upton Park, like the bowling ground, it's going to become housing or flats or whatever. And like the bowling ground, the Brentford fans have been told a lie, or in my opinion a lie, how they're going to have a memorial garden here for Brentford fans to reminisce about the good old days at Griffin Park. They said that about West Ham. We did the little wander round. There was nothing. There was a little patch of grass, which apparently was a centre circle. It looked like freshly laid grass. So unless it was for the fans that were putting paintings on the walls, you wouldn't have known that that was an iconic football stadium. So I fear for you, Brentford fans. So obviously the gates are locked, but there's no current work going on. We do have the odd car around here, maybe they're on lunch break. But yeah, just to reminisce about this sort of place, my earliest memories of Griffin Park, I never came here as a fan, I never came here to watch a game, but who remembers Bradley Walsh, the one off The Chase, Bradley Walsh's Soccer Shockers, one of those football blooper DVDs in the mid-2000s.
Hello, bienvenue, willkommen and buenos dias to Bradley Walsh's Soccer Shockers.
Everyone remembers Nick Hancock's, everyone remembers Danny Baker's. Yes, Bradley Walsh had one, and he filmed it all outside and inside Griffin Park. And at the time I was intrigued because they weren't a Premier League club, and being a bit younger, I was obviously a glory hunting fan myself and didn't necessarily look down the league. So that was my first experience at Griffin Park. Bradley Walsh and a bloody blooper DVD. At the time of this place closing, the capacity, as I looked to my notes, was 12,300. And now, as I just said as well, we're going to be off to the GTEC Community Stadium, so I think there's like 17,000 something, maybe more. So they've definitely increased the capacity, and obviously it's a new modern stadium. But yeah, 12,300. It's not the biggest of stadiums, and the very first game here was played against Plymouth Argyle in 1904. So it was here for ages as well, and like most grounds, like Upton Park, like Old Trafford, it got bombed during World War II. I swear Hitler was just there with a map, hated on football. Maybe he wasn't a football fan and just wanted to bomb each of these beautiful, formerly beautiful football stadiums. Brentford fans, if you could help me out in the comments below. The red and white building behind me looks very old school football-y. Looks a little bit like something you'd see at Fulham, like we've just been. Was this some kind of, was this the shop? Maybe this was the club shop back in the day. It doesn't look like an entrance into the stadium. That looks like an old turnstile. That looks like it could be some offices, reception, maybe a club shop. Who knows? I don't know, but it's still very, very sad and eerie around here. Fortunately, it looks as though pub number 2 hasn't made it. I mentioned about pubs suffering off the back of Brentford leaving. If you look here, which I'm guessing used to be a pub, it's closed down. Right guys, so as I said, I'm jumping in my car in between each corner because of the parking restrictions. But before we see the next 2 pubs, let's take a guess in the comments below. We've seen 1 pub still open, 1 pub closed. So it's 1-1 at the moment. What's going to be the final score? Are we going to have a 3-1 win for open pubs, hopefully? Or are we going to have a 3-1 loss? Hopefully the next 2 pubs aren't closed. I might even get a point in, actually. Result, pub number 3 is open. So we're winning 2-1. This is called the New Inn. Reason being, we're on New Road. I don't know if this is a new pub, whether this was the pub as it was prior to 2020. Looks a nice pub, little beer garden. One thing I've noticed though, as I drive past each side, I can't see where the turnstiles used to be. And the houses aren't exactly new. So God knows what's happened to the turnstiles. I'm going to do a couple of whips around just to make sure I've not missed anything. But again, old school terraced housing, as you'd expect from a former stadium of this age. Again, 1904. 1904 seemed to be like a popular year for new football stadiums. I think Upton Park, the bowling ground, I keep saying Upton Park, the bowling ground was open in 1904. I think West Brom were the first football ground in the 20th century, possibly. I think West Brom's was 1900. Let's go and have a little wander down New Road and see what's down here. Right, so I've just pulled the car up because I have found what would have been an old school turnstile. I don't know whether this was the home or away end. Sorry, sorry mate. I think that might be the Griffin pub. There's a Griffin on his van. So there we go. There's a turnstile basically, or former turnstile. Get in. The 4th and final pub, the Brook, looks to be open. At least I hope it's open. So there we go. 3-1 to the pubs. Still in business, which is good. Hopefully they're not struggling too much. So that's been all 4 of the pubs here at what was Griffin Park. Again, remember, I'm off to the Brentford Community Stadium for sponsorship reasons, GTEC. There is a car park over there though, so we're going to finish up over there because I believe through that little gap is where the main entrance was, where the players would come, where reception would have been. Again, if I'm chatting rubbish, guys, correct me in the comments below. So I'm going to whip over there and see what's going on over there. Let's go and have a look. Yep, I was chatting rubbish because this has always been a residential parking area, but look at this. Now we're talking. This is old school football ground. We're gonna have a little look through the gates. Again, there is some security, so you've got to be a little bit careful. But I guess this is where you'd have a stand along here, and then would be your way in, maybe some turnstiles. These are flats, apartments, whatever they are. They look like they've been here a good few years, a couple of decades at least. So I don't think any of this has changed behind me, but I'm pretty sure over there or behind there, that's where there would have been a car park or something like some entrance of some kind. Maybe it was where we were to start off with. I don't know. Let's go and have a little nosy through those gates. I've just spoke to a lovely lady who lives in one of those flats, and she didn't want to be on camera, but she actually came out in case I was, she says apparently travellers try and get access to the site, and because I was poking my camera through, she thought I was trying to break in, but she was lovely. And it was really interesting to hear about, obviously her partner, her husband should I say, is a season ticket holder at the GTEC. She's a member, she does go, but she says it was really devastating for them, who lived on the doorstep of Griffin Park, and Brentford's a big part of their life. They said they literally saw, I said you should have got it on film, they saw the floodlights come down. Apparently they just took out a couple of bolts at the bottom and they just completely flopped down. They were hoping they would retain something, whether it's the floodlights or whatever, but they say now that it's just left derelict. There's nothing there. Apparently there's a random caravan on there, and there's a young 12-year-old kid that keeps getting on the JCBs and stuff, but it's just left, just absolutely left. Nothing's happening, so I don't know whether that's a planning issue or what, but very little is happening on the old site of Griffin Park, the football stadium. I did read that the local council are trying to, is it regenerate, is that the word? They're trying to basically like clean up the area. It doesn't look like they're doing a very good job of it. This is what probably was one of the ways in, the turnstiles back in the day. Just like when we went to the bowling ground, just like when we've been to other grounds, it's devastating. Brentford fans, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are with regards to leaving Griffin Park, the current state of Griffin Park, and what do you think of the GTEC? If you've enjoyed this video, stick the thumbs up. Next to me right here, you've got the Brentford Stadium tour and my whole playlist of other tours. Mr. Noisy behind me, been following me around, he has, delivering the parcels, the DPD guy. Let's head over to the GTEC now and check out the current home of Brentford Football Club. I'll see you there.